And happy Wednesday, Chiefs Kingdom. Jared Koller here rocking at KCTV5 in the studios, and you are looking live at St. Joseph, Missouri on the campus of Missouri Western, where we are awaiting live press conference coverage from your back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Today, head coach Andy Reid will take that very podium. We'll bring it to you live in just a few minutes. He could be walking up here as the Chiefs had an off day yesterday. They are rested, they are regrouped, and today they had a decently long practice in the pads, and we're going to talk about it along with Andy Reid. And Nico Remigio, the second-year wide receiver, will also speak, and Mike Danna, the newly signed defensive end, will come to the podium, and then we'll show you some more footage from practice at the end of this and talk about what we learned. The headline for today, unfortunately, has to do with some injuries as well. That is always the number one priority of camp. You want to see the exciting deep balls. You want to see the rookies showing out, but you want to stay healthy. And today, well, the Chiefs did not. Now, we don't know the severity of these injuries. We'll hear from Andy Reid. Hopefully he can update us and say it's just precautionary. But at the moment, Nick Bolton, Mizzou-made linebacker, leader of the Chiefs' defense, left practice today, was carted up the field with an injured left arm, left forearm, left elbow, something along those lines in team drills. We don't know his status. The other injury, wide receiver / potentially running back, Kadarius Toney left practice, was carted up the hill with a lower leg injury that happened during one-on-one drills going up against DJ Miller. Now, I say carted up the field. That sounds maybe more serious. If you've ever been to training camp in St. Joe, the practice fields are kind of down the hill, and in order to go to practice, all the players have to walk down a hill. So when they're carted up, it could be as simple as, hey, they're a little banged up. What's the use of walking, a decent bit up a hill when you can just take the golf cart? So that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a major injury, but they did not walk up the hill. They were able to walk off the field in their own power, but both were in some noticeable pain. Did not return to practice today, and so we wish the best for Nick Bolton and Kadarius Toney. Those are the negatives. There are some positives on the injury front. Most notably, cornerback Jalen Watson was activated off the PUP list and took the field for his first practice of camp. He's been out so far, recovering from a labrum injury. He was not in full pads, but he did have his helmet, so not 100%, but he was back out there, which is a positive sign for the third-year cornerback, is that room looks to replace L'Jarius Sneed, and that second cornerback job is really wide open after Trent McDuffie. So important to see Jalen Watson back out there competing. Chris Jones was back at practice, walking more with trainers, or going through the motions and stretching, but not exactly full strength in team drills for big number 95 as he recovers from a groin strain. But Chris Jones was back out there on practice, so again, we think that was more precautionary for the veteran. Good to see him out there as well. Hollywood Brown and Clyde Edwards-Helaire both returned to practice after missing the last days out sick, so good to see the offense back close to full strength. The one notable player that was out from the start of camp was cornerback Najee Johnson, still out with that hamstring injury. Running back Isaiah Pacheco was there, and he had a bloody nose. So, listen, it's that time of year. It's hot out. Players are hitting each other. They got the pads on. So, unfortunately, there's been some highs and lows of training camp in the injury front. We will continue to monitor and bring you the latest when head coach Andy Reid comes to the podium any minute now. So, other notes from practice. As I said, this was a padded practice, the first of 3 straight practice days. The Chiefs are off on Saturday, then have 4 more practice days after that before we start talking about the preseason. That is when they fly to Jacksonville after those 4 days. So they are off next Thursday, next Friday, and then the first preseason game, believe it or not, it's almost here, Saturday, August 10th at Jacksonville. The last day of Chiefs training camp then follows on Thursday, August 15th. So, again, if you're wanting to get up to training camp, the practices are, we're closer to the end now than it may seem, even though it's still the last day of July. And then, last day of camp, August 15th. The lone preseason game at Arrowhead is set for Saturday, August 17th. That's against the Detroit Lions. Remember, with the stacked scheduling, the Chiefs have only one preseason home game this year, 2 on the road, and that final road game is on Thursday, August 22nd at the Chicago Bears, with the NFL season opener at Arrowhead Thursday, September 5th against the Baltimore Ravens. My friends, that is 36 days away. but who is counting? So there's your schedule for what's coming up. As for what we saw at practice today, Kingsley Suamataia got first-team reps at left tackle. Noteworthy because he's in that competition with Wanye Morris, and the pads are on. These are important times to get reps for the left tackle, and right now it's Kingsley Suamataia. Joe Thuney is back practicing at left guard. Remember, he returned to practice for the first time on Monday, activated off the PUP list. He suffered that injury in the playoff victory over the Buffalo Bills. Missed the Super Bowl, but Joe Thuney is back out there. He's not getting 100% of the snaps as they ease the veteran in. Remember, he's a four-time Super Bowl champion, so I think he's okay with missing a practice here or there. But Hunter Norzad has been the rookie out of Penn State that continues to get some first-team snaps at left guard instead of someone like Mike Caliendo or Lucas Niang, so a good first impression for Hunter Norzad, the rookie left guard. Now, even with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back from practice after missing a couple days, Deneric Prince has been getting a lot of second-team snaps. He was a camp darling last year at running back. Didn't exactly translate to regular season snaps as they had Jerick McKinnon in the fold. But Jerick McKinnon is currently a free agent. We don't know what his football future is, if he's contemplating retirement. Either way, the Chiefs' depth chart running back-wise is one of the thinnest on the team as far as experience goes. You have Isaiah Pacheco at number one, but then you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and now Deneric Prince kind of fighting for that 2 and 3 role. That's why it was interesting to see Kadarius Toney get running back snaps. Of course, Luis Rees-Zammit, the Welsh rugby star, but he's kind of been more on third team as he learns the game of football, so I'd still keep expectations in check a bit there. But Deneric Prince continues to get that second-team attention. Will be interesting to see if that translates to the preseason as well, or if they just want to give him more of a look. They know what they have in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sticking with some depth chart news, cornerback rotation today, I found interesting because it actually included Trent McDuffie in the slot. That is not something we've seen very often. We saw it last year when you had L'Jarius Sneed falling around number one corner and Trent McDuffie played in the slot, had that great pass deflection in the Super Bowl late in the fourth quarter there. But for the most part in camp this year, we've seen Trent McDuffie on the outside. Well, today, McDuffie back in the slot with Joshua Williams and Kelvin Joseph on the outside. That's, of course, with Jalen Watson easing his way back in and Najee Johnson out of practice, so it appears Kelvin Joseph is next in line there, but still, first-team snaps for Joseph. He's a name to watch for, and we'll continue to see how that cornerback rotation lines out. If they, Steve Spagnuolo was asked, hey, do you have Trent McDuffie follow a number one corner across the field, or do you leave him one side of the field? Do you put him in the slot? They've got a lot of options. And I don't know if they know what the answer is. That's what this time of year is for, to try different things. And today we saw something new. We'll see if it sticks. All right, as for number 15, Patrick Mahomes for the uninitiated. Probably the highlight of the day that really wasn't a highlight was a fake behind-the-back pass to Travis Kelce. Number 87 never actually caught the ball, but Mahomes was running to his right, faked throwing behind his back, and then ran out of bounds. I don't know when we will see Mahomes throw a regular season pass behind his back, but I no longer think it's an if. I think we will see it. It's just a matter of when. If he's comfortable at the level that he's faking behind the pass throws, we'll see when he let that out. And especially with Travis Kelce on the other end of it, I mean, you think back to Kelce's play against Buffalo last year where he caught it and just threw it across the field to Kadarius Toney on the play that didn't count. With this duo, when they've got the ball in their hands, you never know what to expect. Training camp, preseason, regular season, whatever it is, it's good to see number 15 having some fun out there as well. He had multiple deep ball attempts to Xavier Worthy today that came incomplete, which is noteworthy because most of the time that Mahomes has been throwing deep to Xavier Worthy this camp have been completions. But I don't think reason for panic more noteworthy because the intent is clear. Patrick Mahomes continues to throw deep to Xavier Worthy. It's clear that is by design when you do it day in and day out. I don't think there's been a single practice where Xavier Worthy's been on the field where he hasn't attracted at least one Patrick Mahomes deep ball, and that is a sight for sore eyes for Chiefs fans, and it shows a lot of trust in a rookie wide receiver. Xavier Worthy's on the younger side, the smaller side. Remember, he missed a lot of OTAs with an injury, yet here he is getting thrown right into the fire, and with exception of missing a handful of practices due to an illness, this camp continues to just be a great, great first impression for Xavier Worthy. I'm not saying that he's going to go have a 1,000-yard season because he's competing with guys like Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown. But I think to this point, he was brought in to increase the big play potential on this offense, and I think early signs are that he has the capabilities to do just that. We'll see if it translates once the lights shine a little bit brighter on the playing field. Other wide receiver of note today, Sky Moore, had one of his better practices, had a nice catch over the middle against Trent McDuffie. We haven't said a whole lot about Sky Moore, so just want to mention his name, that he is in the mix. He is out on the field. He's catching some passes. But I think, for a former second-round pick, he's really fighting for his job, not fighting for, top 3, top 4 target snaps right now. So he's someone to watch, especially when Nico Remigio continues to impress. The Fresno State product just continues to look like he's on track to make this team after he missed the regular season with a wrist injury last year. Of note, he's coming to the podium today. Little inside baseball, the Chiefs don't normally bring someone to the podium that they think they're going to cut. Now, that's not 100% rule. There's times where they bring someone up and they end up not making the team. But general rule of thumb, if they didn't think this guy had a shot to make the regular season roster, he's not going to be talking to the media for 5 minutes like he will today. So, does this mean Remigio's making the team? No, he's still got to prove it in the preseason. But it's of note that, yes, he is making a strong first impression this year after making a real first impression last year, missing the time with injury. So the fact that he's coming back in the offense, performing at this level, is a great sign for his prospects. Again, not to be the number 1, 2, or 3 wide receiver on the team, but potentially round out the wide receiver room in a place where there is playing time available, but there are dudes that have the option. Here's Big Red. Let's listen to him live.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Nazi didn't practice today. Justin and both Justins, Reid and Watson. Had a couple guys get nicked. Gathings. With a hamstring, Tony, ankle. Chu had an ankle. McCade, ankle. And Bolton got his elbow banged up. All in all, though, good practice, a lot of good work. Guys are moving around, good challenging, both sides of the ball against each other. Got a lot of 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 work in today. So it was positive practice. Anyways, time's yours.
Couldn't hear you when you were talking about Nick Bolton's injury.
Yeah, he tweaked his elbow. Yeah, just got it caught him, in between 2 guys.
You guys look like you did the long drive out there today, and I know a lot of guys have talked about that and how important it is. You like that drill during camp. Can you just kind of explain what's so good about that?
Yeah, we just do different situations with it, and the ones get quite a few reps, with it, and it's playing the game is really what it is. So, but we have certain situations we work through. Yeah.
Coach Spags mentioned the other day that you're still waiting for someone to step up behind McDuffie at the quarterback position. But with so many injuries, how difficult has it been to properly evaluate that position group?
Well, it's been good for the young guys to get some reps in there. Watson came back, got some reps today, so getting back in the swing of things. So if he starts working in, that'll be a positive. But for the young guys, the Josephs, the world there, they all get a look, and so that's good work for them.
How about the career path of Mike Danna? He's going to be here at the 10 a little while. Can you just speak to that and how much improvement you expect?
Yeah, Mike Danna, number one's a great kid, tremendous worker. Doesn't say a word, he just works and plays his heart out every play. So if you want to call him a worker bee, he's a worker bee, man. He comes to work every day and busts his tail.
What adjustments, Coach, were made to maximize your time in the heat? What adjustments were made to maximize your time in the heat while minimizing any impact to the players given over?
Yeah, so we do a lot beforehand, trying to make sure the guys are hydrated so they're not coming out. We don't have very many of the hydration issues, which is positive. Our trainers do a nice job with that. And then during practice, we water break them. So we'll go a certain number of plays, and then you'll see the people run the water in and give them a quick shot and then hop back out.
Coach, we'll also get Nico today. Just how impressive you've been year to year with his development.
Yeah, he's getting better every rep he gets. So I'm that's a positive thing for us. Yeah.
I was curious, you have a couple of members of your offensive staff, position coaches, who are going into their second year with the team. I'm just curious your opinion on their growth and just how they've done over months.
Yeah, it's always smoother that second year once you've gone through it the first time. So they hit the ground running and are doing a nice job with it. Yeah.
You talked about some of the defensive injuries that, because you're a young guy, it's a chance to show you what they can do, but you're also trying to get ready for the season. With all the defensive guys who are out, at what point does that start to affect your preparation for the season?
I think we're okay at this point, Adam. They'll be back. They'll be back here, and they'll have time to work. So I think we'll be fine there.
Just considering the speed that you've added, I guess just year to year, obviously more so details, but how much is this game, how much is changing as far as what you guys are doing?
Yeah, not a ton changing, and we do. I mean, we have speed, but we're playing. We're just using our offense and going. So there's not a whole lot new.
Hey guys, who guys could come on? What have you learned so far about Kingsley and Lonje the more and more you see them and sorting out that position?
Yeah, I love the compete. Both of them are competing their tails off. I feel comfortable with both of them right at this point where they're at. They just got to keep working to get better every day, So that's what they're doing. That's the mindset they're in.
Coach, you got a deep receiver room. KT goes down. How much wiggle room does he have with depth and trying to maximize the roster?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, you want to be there every day. And so anytime you miss, you miss, especially during install days, you're missing a load there. So, but that he's got to take care of what he's got and get himself back out there when he can.
Can you share what you said to him? I saw you talk to him for a quick second when he went down.
Yeah, at that time I didn't know he was banged up, but I was just, let's keep rolling. He had a play before that, and he went up to get it. I think that's probably where he did get hurt, but I didn't know that at the time. But just stay on top of it. Just keep squeezing. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Chiefs head coach Andy Reid providing a live update from St. Joseph, Missouri on the campus in Missouri Western today. We are waiting to hear from Mike Danna and Nico Remigio. We'll bring you that live, and here they are.
Guys, go for Mike.
And Mike, what's it like to have the whole defensive line room back after last season?
It's awesome, man. To have them group of guys, they're a unique group. Everybody works their tail off. Everybody can play multiple roles, and everybody's versatile. And going back to that group, and doing what we got to do, man. We got a goal, we got a mission, and we come in with the same intent and more.
Can you share kind of the soft season, because a lot of you guys are free agents? Were you guys kind of texting back and forth?
Oh, of course, man. We're a big family, man. Those are the guys, and we always got communication, open communication, and as soon as everybody got back together, it's like we didn't miss a beat. So it's a blessing to be back in that room, man, and we got to get after it.
What makes that room so scary this year in your eyes? What makes that room?
I think everybody can play ball, man. Everybody can go get after it. Everybody's pushing one another, pulling one another. We got a great leader in Chris in there, so everybody's just following after him. And you got to carry your own weight. You got to step up to the plate when your number is called. And we got a bunch of guys in that room that's more than capable to do what they got to do.
Mike, it took you a little bit longer in the process to sign back with the Chiefs. Now that you've signed, did you always feel like, okay, I wanted to be in Kansas City?
Of course, man. This was home, man. This is where this is where I birthed my career at. Started as a rookie, and it wasn't really too many other teams I really had in sight. But I want to be back home with the guys, and it just felt like home, man. That's all I can really describe it as.
What's it like having Chris actually here at camp? He kind of jokes about the dorms and all that stuff. Getting to hear a lot.
No, it's great. He's a great leader, man, and having him in a room and having him on the field, you have somebody you can look up to, and, you can have somebody in the room that you can compare your game to and constantly, compete. He always bring that vet leadership, always pulling guys, always pushing guys. So, having 95 in that room is a big difference, man.
How do you feel in terms of your growth? What are you expecting from yourself this year?
Man, you just got to take it one day at a time when it comes to growth. You got to trust your process. You got to trust that all the work you're putting in on the off season is going to pay off. Whether it's you're working on run, you're working on pass. I got a little bit of everything, man. So, I'm expecting a career year, holding myself to a high standard, and I just want to raise the bar each year, man.
Mike, given where you are in your career, how much are you trying to maybe
Lonye, you know, in those one-on-one drills.
Of course, man.
You can see from them, and obviously,
Mm-hmm.
how much is there of sharing notes and just sharing?
Of course, yeah. You know, when we get in our locker room, we always talking about what we could have done better or what they could have done better. And, you know, we're always working together to help each other. You know, that goes along with pushing and pulling each other. If you want to be a great leader and, you know, you got to help guys. You got to be a vet. You got to be able to, you know, pull the younger guys, give them tips, you know, to help them improve, you know. So I think both of them are doing a hell of a job this camp. You know, we're all working, and we got to keep on getting better as second days.
Last year, we're going to go Adam, Pete, and Matt.
Mike, there's a lot of defensive injuries right now, as you know. At what point does that become a problem as you guys try to get ready for a season, not having the guys who might be playing?
Well, you know, you got to be ready when your number's called, and you know the guys that's hurt, you know, they're working their tails off to get back. You know, they can't control, you know, injuries for the most part, but you know the guys that's stepping up and, you know, taking reps, you know, they're being held accountable, and you know, next man up. You know, you got to be ready when your number's called, because when you get on that field, you got to play 100 miles per hour.
Mike, Leo has played a lot of different roles, including being up front with you guys. He specifically mentioned you and your work ethic. What have you learned from him, kind of in the dynamic together?
Leo, man, that's the beast. You know, he works his tail off, and you know, like I said, you can put him in multiple positions, whether it's, you know, DN, off the ball linebacker. You know, he's always coming downhill. So, you know, his work ethic is off the charts, and you know, having somebody, you know, behind you or aside from you, you know, having somebody like that, you know, it feels good. You know, he's a great player, and you know, he's gonna have a big year, big year.
What makes you say that?
What was that?
What makes you say that Leo's going to have a big year?
Because his work ethic, man. He puts it all on tape. He puts it on the field. You know, he works his tail off. You know, there's not a day where you're not like, damn, Leo's not coming. He's coming every single day. Whether it's team run, you know, long drive drill, he's bringing energy, you know. So he always holds himself to a high standard. You know, he got a great coach, and, you know, he's going to put it on tape.
Spags has talked about guarding against the letdown after the success you guys had last year, and obviously you've got a lot of guys with 2-3 Super Bowl rings. What's the key to staying hungry and still have that drive?
Man, you just got to compete. You know, we're trying to do something that's never been done in history, you know, in the NFL. So, you know, we got to stay hungry. We got to stay on top of each other. You know, we can't take anything for granted. You know, everybody's going to give us their best shot every single week, and, you know, we got to rise up and, you know, rise up to the occasion and do what we got to do. We know what our end of the season goal is, and that's to hoist another Lombardi. So, you know, we got to take it one day at a time, one opponent at a time, and just, you know, stick to our roots, which is working hard and getting after it.
Sounds like you guys are the group. It seems like a lot of the guys are embracing that, going for a third win, knowing how important it is, and making it a part of the goal.
Yeah, man, it's huge. You know, like I said, it's never been done, and you know, if you want to be the team to do it, you got to come with the right attitude every single week. And you know, it starts out here in these long training camps days. You know, in the meeting room, in the 100-degree heat. You know, all that stuff matters, and you know, we're excited to get the ball rolling, and you know, it's going to be a hell of a year.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And that is Chiefs defensive end Mike Danna talking live at training camp in St. Joe. We are now waiting on wide receiver Nico Remigio, a breakout candidate. Here he is.
Over the summer when some guys were injured, just what did you learn about Pat over that time?
Yeah, I mean, really it was just about getting the reps, right? And obviously there's a reason why Pat is Pat. And, you know, he's had the success that he's had. You know, it's evident every single day. And like you said, it started, you know, right after the season when, you know, we were before OTAs. So, you know, to be able to learn and to be able to start to compete with him and understand him and how he looks at the game and views the game and approaches it, you know, it's really just been a blessing for me. And I'm grateful to, you know, be in the position to learn from somebody like him and of his status and, you know, just trying to implement the positive aspects of his game into my own.
Dave has kind of favored you as one of the lead kick returners. What have you learned about the new kickoff? How comfortable do you feel in that position?
Yeah, no, I feel extremely comfortable. It's very different. It tends to happen a bit quicker, which I believe tends to my game a little bit more. Just, you know, you got to change direction in a quicker amount of time and a shorter amount of space. So it's going to be fun to see how it evolves. It's something that's going to be constantly changing, I think, as the season goes on. And, you know, to be in the position that I'm in now, to be learning and, you know, just seeing the different ways that coach is thinking, I'm excited to see what it can evolve into.
Nico, I know that you signed here as a UDFA. Can you talk about what led you to sign here? Did you have other teams like garner your interest?
I did. it was just a conversation that I had with my agent, and him and I both felt that this was the best spot for me to be at. And, by no means has it been easy, and it's still not easy, but, I'm just trying to punch every single day and put my best foot forward and be the best version of myself to make sure that I can find a role somewhere on this team.
Can you say how many teams you had at the point?
Oh, man, I couldn't tell you right now, but it was a lot. You know how it is on draft day, so.
Why did you feel like this was the best place for you?
I felt like there was an opportunity at returner, and, shoot, it's the Chiefs, man. You got an opportunity to play with the Super Bowl champions. It's hard to say no to that. And, for me, I felt like if I'm able to compete here, I can compete anywhere. And so I'm just trying to take everything in day by day and learn. And like I said, most of all, I'm just grateful to be here.
What's the mentality that you're taking to get through camp, especially with the guys going down this deep in camp?
Yeah, just staying resilient. And that's really been, kind of the moral of my entire journey is just staying resilient and continuing to punch. I've always been an underdog at every single level of football that I've played at. So, being in this position is nothing new to me. So just making sure that I'm still fighting and like I said, being the best version of myself every single day.
Well, in camp last year, Nico before the injury, of course, you had obviously a great preseason game too. You get a year to sort of learn the offense, learn how you can get better.
Right.
What do you believe you've applied from that time off that you're showing now in this part?
Well, I think the obvious one is just familiarity with the offense. I'm sure you guys have heard it numerous of times how extensive and intricate the details and little nuances of the offense are. So being able to continue learning that and then extending that even further, understanding how Pat likes the details and the nuances in the offense. And so I think being able to sit back for a year and kind of see how that's evolved is a big one for me that I'm trying to apply now. And then I think just things that I learned throughout the season was, the ebbs and flows of the season. It's constantly changing. And, again, it's resilience. You got to be able to stay resilient. And that's one of the big things that I learned.
Is there an example of whether it's with Pat or the offense where you can tell within yourself that this is better than what it was a year ago?
Yeah, I think just reads, like knowing, if I'm going to sit in this zone or, how I'm wrapping around the defenders and different zone looks and feeling space. A lot of the offense is feeling space and being able to find, big open fields of grass to be able to run to and feel and sit in. And those have been the biggest things that I think makes the biggest difference. Like you're not just running the straight lines on the playbook, right?
We'll go right down the line. Sam, Herbie, Matt, PJ.
Nico, what was your Super Bowl experience watching live? Like, where were you? Were you watching the live? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I was there on the sideline. Man, I think that's every kid's dream to be able to be at the Super Bowl and see that. But if I'm going to be completely honest, it was a bit of a mix of emotions for me. I'm a competitor at heart, and so to not be able to be out there on the field and kind of just being on the sideline supporting, obviously I'm grateful to be in that position, but, I want to play. So.
Has that stuck with you?
Absolutely.
Nico, just touching on your cultural aspect here, there are a lot of Polynesians in the National Football League, but when I think of Pinoys, I can only probably think of Doug Baldwin, former Seahawks receiver. What does it mean to you, and how much pride do you take in being a Pinoy in the National Football League?
You see it right here, man. It's everything to me. My culture, my family, it's the biggest reason why I'm here right now. And, when I go out there every single day, I'm not only representing myself and my last name, but like you said, a whole community of people. So, to be able to be on this platform and to be able to represent them in a positive light, I don't take that lightly at all.
You mentioned being a competitor, and you've made a lot of great plays so far in camp. I know one of the bursts of emotions I saw was one-on-ones. You had a really tough catch you didn't make today, and I saw you were frustrated. And just how competitive are you, would you say, that maybe compared to some of your teammates?
I'm extreme. Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to any of my teammates because at the end of the day, none of us would be here if we weren't competitors. But just understanding there's ebbs and flows to the game, and it's not always going to go my way. That's what makes the good moments so good and so exciting and so much fun. You have to feel those lows, and you have to experience the drop balls and whatnot to be able to enjoy any success that you find in this game. And so, like I said, resilience, just continuing to punch and put my best foot forward every single day is what I'm striving to do.
Nico, I know guys kind of on the roster bubble, they try to think about it as you go out there and play, but to just know that you've been on the line, this is not your second year now, that you're kind of right on that active roster line where you can be a key contributor, just what's that feeling like? Can you describe just knowing that you're doing this every day, knowing that like the chance is right there for you?
Yeah, I think, for me, regardless of, where my status is at, it doesn't necessarily change my approach. And so my approach has to be consistent. If, I'm a big neutral mindset type of guy, not getting too high, not getting too low. And if you have those external factors that I don't necessarily have the entire control of, right? Like I got to approach the game the way I approach the game, and whatever decisions have to be made are those decisions. I can't let that deter me from how I approach and how I approach my controllables. So I don't think too much into it.
Nico, Coach Nagy gets described as an absolute true professional. What types of things do you think you're doing behind the scenes to lead to that impression?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way you approach the meeting room, the way you approach your recovery, the way you approach your work, your intentionality with your work. I think there's a big difference between working hard and working hard intentionally to be able to focus on a specific thing that you're improving on. And so, like I said, just making sure that I'm trying to maximize each of those different columns every single day is, I believe, what it entails to be a pro. Again, it's something that I'm still learning, right? And so to be able to be around Pat, to be able to be around Hollywood, Travis, a lot of those veteran guys that we have on the team, I'm just kind of picking and trying to be a sponge around those guys, really.
Perfect. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And there was Chiefs wide receiver Nico Remigio talking to us live from St. Joseph as the Chiefs wrap up training camp here on a Wednesday. Thanks for joining us here on KCTV5. I'm Jared Koller. You heard from Andy Reid, Nico Remigio, and Mike Danna. The news of the day that you heard from Andy Reid is that Nick Bolton does have that elbow injury and that Kadarius Toney does have that ankle injury. Did not give the severity, but confirmed both diagnoses, and we will wish them the best. Hopefully they're back on the practice field. Again, the news is that Nick Bolton was carted up the field after an injury in team drills, and Kadarius Toney was carted up the field after an injury against DJ Miller. As I said earlier, we don't know if the bringing out the cart is necessarily a sign of how severe it is, so I wouldn't panic on that front, but it's worth noting. Other things from Andy Reid, he mentioned the importance of hydrating and that the team always has water bottles ready to go. That's of note for also fans. If you're going up to training camp, it's hot. These are long practices sometimes. You're outside, so keep in mind, have a fan by you, have some water, and if you're not feeling right, get some help, seek some attention, count on those around you to keep you in check as well. Other notes, Mike Danna talked about how he re-signed in Kansas City. Remember, he was a free agent this offseason, could have gone elsewhere, decides to come back to KC because he loves the town and is motivated to, quite simply, do something that's never been done before, and that's, of course, win 3 straight Super Bowls. In the history of the NFL, no team has done that, and I think you talk to every single player, they know that is the motivation this year, and Danna talked about how it's pretty one-track minded even right now on July 31st. The Super Bowl will be played on the second week of February, but right now in July, that is the focus for this entire team. Nico Remigio also talked about how he's used to being the underdog coming out of Fresno State, and now in his second year after having that wrist injury, undrafted free agent, has really impressed, and he's used to being that underdog and really making a strong impression in a crowded wide receiver room. The other name to watch for as far as a breakout candidate is Mike Danna said that Leo Chenal is really coming on strong. Right now he's the third linebacker in the room, with Willie Gay signing with the New Orleans Saints this offseason. You have Nick Bolton, you have Drew Tranquill, but right now then it's Leo Chenal, the third-year linebacker out of Wisconsin, and now potentially even second with a Nick Bolton injury. This linebacker room, I think the top 3 is a strength, but there's not a whole lot of depth there, and they could be counting on Chenal to step up even more, and along with it's a wide-open battle for the linebacker snaps after that. we'll see how that shakes out both in the rest of training camp and preseason in the linebacker room. Other notes from practice today, and you've seen some of it on video here, Carson Wentz had some really nice passes. He's not someone that we've mentioned a whole lot, but he is, could be. I shouldn't say he is an important player because Patrick Mahomes figures to take a lot of snaps, but Carson Wentz could be a very important player. You see him connecting that pass to Deneric Prince. Wentz, a former MVP candidate for the Philadelphia Eagles, has kind of bounced around of late, but he has perhaps the highest ceiling of any backup quarterback the Chiefs have had since Patrick Mahomes was backup for Alex Smith as a rookie. But since then, the Chiefs have kind of gone with the safe veteran in Matt Moore, Chad Henne, Blaine Gabbert. They could have gone with projects like Shane Bichelle last year, and they have Chris Oldokun on roster this year. But I think Carson Wentz is an interesting case study because what Andy Reid did in Philadelphia for a number of years was sign a player, maybe get him a start or two as the backup quarterback, and then trade him. They traded Kevin Cobb, Jeff Garcia. They had a number of different quarterbacks that they traded for draft picks because they impressed on, whether it be a game or two preseason. I think of the Packers, this wasn't Andy Reid, but Matt Flynn had a couple nice starts, and the Packers got a bag for him, and Flynn ended up not being a whole lot. I think Carson Wentz is someone, he's only on a one-year deal, but if the Chiefs can continue to sign players with perhaps higher ceilings than Blaine Gabbert, a Chad Henne, a Matt Moore, and they get some reps behind Patrick Mahomes, maybe that's another way to improve the team under the tutelage of Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, a couple quarterback whisperers in some ways. But either way, we hope we don't see Carson Wentz on the field this year, of course, because that means Patrick Mahomes is hurt. But will be interesting to see how the preseason shapes out for Wentz. Again, someone who was thought very highly of a handful of years ago and a former top pick. Someone to watch for, no doubt. Other notes from camp today, Jared Wiley, the rookie tight end out of TCU, showed off strong hands, making a contested grab in a crowded tight end room now with Travis Kelce, of course, at the top. But Noah Gray in his final year under contract, and Irv Smith Jr., the veteran tight end, has also made a strong impression. So Wiley fighting for playing time. And McCole Hardman, someone we haven't talked a whole lot about, but he had a nice deep ball connection today with Patrick Mahomes. Of course, he caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, and I feel like we're not talking about Hardman much. Some people surprised that they brought him back, but he knows the offense, and I think he's a nice security blanket, especially depending on how injuries shake out. But make no mistake, he's still fighting for a spot on this team. He was released, or he didn't sign last year, and the New York Jets signed him, then traded him to the Chiefs for a 7th-round draft pick. But given the draft pick of Xavier Worthy, development of Nico Remigio, I don't think it's a guarantee that McCole Hardman makes this team either. So he is someone to watch despite his, of course, iconic Super Bowl catch in Las Vegas. Other things I do want to mention is that this training camp, you have a new rookie class, but outside of that, there's not that many new faces, which I think if you compare this to practices the last couple of years, you've got a full list where you're trying to learn the roster. I'd say really the main 3 free agents added this year have been Marquise Hollywood-Brown as the top one, but then after that, it's Carson Wentz and Irv Smith Jr., 2 players that don't figure to be major X factors. But no one on there's not a major defensive addition. They've brought almost everybody back from that strong Steve Spagnuolo unit last year, and that shows faith that they think last year is repeatable. But on the other end, it's the players lost. So just a refresher, these are the players that if you go out to training camp, you will not see. L'Jarius Sneed, Nick Allegretti, the utility offensive lineman who started the Super Bowl, Tommy Townsend, the punter, signed with the Texans. Willie Gay, mentioned him as the linebacker, signing with the Saints. Mike Edwards, the safety, signed with the Buffalo Bills this offseason. Wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling signed with the Bills this offseason. Jody Fortson, the tight end, signed with the Dolphins. And LaMichael P. Ryan, the backup running back, signed with the Steelers. And, of course, L'Jarius Sneed signing with the Titans, getting that big $19 million contract. So more coming out than are coming in, and that puts more pressure on the rookie class, right? They're going to have an opportunity for playing time, especially on offense. We're talking about left tackle and Kingsley Suamataia. We're talking about Xavier Worthy, and I think the running back position as well, who's going to get reps there, while a lot of the defense, you're counting on them to follow up in similar seasons that they had last year. You heard from Mike Danna. They're going to need him to be a solid player. They re-signed Mike Pinnell. Felix Onyeudike-Uzama is coming back in year 2. They're expecting big things out of the League Summit and Kansas State natives. So it's a little interesting how every year has a different formula for how the team is built. And this year it's, running it back on the defense and counting on some younger guys on the offense to help facilitate the Stars. And here is Irv Smith Jr., number 82, on your practice screen. So that is your live Chiefs training camp coverage today. Thanks for hanging out with us here at KCTV5. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy will be addressing the media along with players. We don't know who will talk until the day of. Could be Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. So either way, you want to join us right here on KCTV5. Be sure to also come back here. Same stream, same place, 5:30. Marlia Campbell's joining me. She was at practice this morning. We'll talk about what we saw, those injuries, players we're looking for, and also talk the latest Royals news. Of course, they've won a couple games in Chicago, are right in the thick of the playoff race, have a 2-game lead in the wild card picture. Of note, Royals news, they send down pitcher Alec Marsh today. Michael Lorenzen will start on Saturday, so we'll get much more in depth on the Boys in Blue on our stream at 5:30, along with our newscasts throughout the week. Former Chiefs linebacker Desmond Moses will also be stopping by for a segment today that you'll catch him in parts, and then the full version this coming Sunday on KC Sports Tonight at 10:30. So little tease that we're always working on fun stuff around here for KCTV5, and we appreciate you for being along with the ride. For now, Jared Koller, have a great day, everyone.